Welcome to a new episode of the Advancing Consciousness series with Franco Di Nicola. This is a place where people can come to gain further insight and clarity as to what is going on and how we can shift things on a personal and global level, while also accessing higher levels of consciousness and awareness. We bring this series to you free of charge so that many are able to access this information. However, if you resonate with what Franco shares and you would like to support his work, contributions are welcomed and greatly appreciated. A link is in the description and will be provided in the chat if you feel guided to do so. Also, we have many previous workshops, such as a couple of our most recent, Maneuvering with Neutrality and Alignment during this next wave of unfoldments, and Deprogram Clearing Empowerment Workshop. You could also join us in our membership program, Let's Talk About You, where like-minded people come together bi-weekly to talk about the topics requiring deeper understanding and clarity. All of these are available on Teachable, and we encourage you to check them out as they are great resources at very affordable prices to assist in better understanding this human experience. The Teachable link will also be provided in the chat and description. And lastly, don't forget to share. As the more of us coming together and creating a shift in oneself, the more effective it'll be to shift things globally. Thank you for joining us and being part of the change. Enjoy today's broadcast.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Advancing Consciousness series. This is the series where advancing your consciousness, accessing a higher aspect of yourself is the main mandate for your journey of life. So right now we're at very pinnacle times, so you are drawn where you need to be drawn to get what you need, whenever you need it, how you need it. So today is episode 55, and we're going to be looking at some of the updates, what's really happening, and our role. And before we go into that, I'd like to thank everybody for your support and so forth. We've had some technical issues getting on. I am being blocked, so please share, because the thing is, at this point in time, we couldn't get it onto as many platforms as we normally do. And so just share it along the way, because for some reason they blocked me, even though I put in a complaint that, why would they do that? But anyways, who knows? Social media has its own little quirks and it has its own little way of doing things. So the other thing is, I just wanted to remind everybody, I'm not just going to put it up. We have a workshop coming up December the 5th and the 6th, which is not this coming weekend, the following weekend. It's a 2-day event. It's on seeing beyond your current perception to live a new reality. Most of us are ready and have been wanting to live and expand their reality. Now their immediate reality and their own personal life with all the levels of extended realities and the reality of the collective. The only way we can see and start to experience it and become part of it, you have to see beyond your current perception. And what is this current perception is what we made up as a way of life on our journey because of every experience that we had along the way. So we have to go beyond that. We have to go beyond everything that we've put a lot of capacities and power and so forth into it to be truly able to experience it to the degree we are ready to experience it. Even this whole idea that there's a new earth and so forth, a new world all unfolding, that is already there. It's for us to activate it within our own reality and to also stimulate it in the reality of all extended. Now, in the description, and also Kimberly will also post it in the comment section at some point, in the description, we do have the link. So for you to click the link, it'll take you to the page and it gives you a little bit more details. I have a video coming out that actually goes into more in depth of what I'm going to be covering. And it's actually a mini workshop in the first place. It's about an hour and 15 minutes long. And that will be going out either tonight or tomorrow. And you can check that out also. However, if you want to get registered, go ahead and do so. The uniqueness about this, it's donation based, so there shouldn't be any obstacle to attend, because some people have the issue, well, I don't have the resources or whatever that may be that's playing out, that I can't pay for the normal fee that is charged for the workshop. Now the workshop is live streamed, and it's also being recorded and in video and audio version. So if you are coming live, it's interactive, you can ask questions, we can have some dialogues of some sort, but it's monitored by Kimberly, and she will be asking the questions, or kind of redirecting things if necessary, so that we stay connected. And because of the fact we're all coming together, we're actually piggybacking on each other to assist, to create that beautiful, powerful cluster within ourselves to have that experience. So check that out. Like I said, it's donation basis, so you can actually do it. The other option is, if you cannot attend because of the time zone that you're in, because in some people's lives it's in the middle of the night instead of the daytime, you can just get the video and audio recordings. That is also available. Now, if you've live stream and be interactive, you automatically get the video and audio recordings. If you're going to just get the video and audio recording, that's available also separately. Now, people do that. This is not the first workshop. If you have attended, a lot of people have attended to all the different workshops. And this is going to be the most current, and the workshop actually gets updated along the way. So anyways, stay tuned for that. Do not miss it out. It's the last workshop we'll be doing in 2020. And with everything else that's rolling out right now and everything else that's playing out right now, it'll be a powerful tool. And there was going to be a lot of tools, processes, and so forth that will be entailed in the workshop. So great. Anyways, so let's play with today. So I wanted to take this opportunity to look at really what's going on right now, because there's a lot of confusion. And I can feel, and I've noticed, and by just observing, the energies are going up and down. Now, we have a lot of powerful energies coming through on a regular basis, pretty well every other day. And as much as all of these codes and energies and frequencies and everything else that even Gaia gives a burst every so often, and this is why we're seeing some of the Schumann resonant frequency taking some pretty powerful bursts at different times. And again, it's not always the highest impact. That is usually a stimulator, but a lot of times those other different grades of stimulations that are provided are there to activate certain codes. And this is why these frequencies are actually almost unlocking the codes that you're ready to activate. Some of them are very finely tuned to create more of the stimulation from shifting from more of the carbon base to the silicate and the crystal. Like I said, you have all three. All three are active. And the ratios are shifting, and eventually, over time, it depends on how we move through this, individually and collectively, will become much more fully crystal. Now, the other things that are happening with these energies that the planet is offering, the sun is been instrumental in a very powerful way to really stimulate, activate, but we're also having an influx of energy that's moving along within the solar system. So each of the planets are reflecting its soul that beautiful and more we have piggybacks on the other. So it's creating a lot of these stimulation. Now, the DNA is coming online at this time is also allowing us to access different spectrums of frequency, accessing different consciousness, which actually creates an alteration within our own consciousness. So first of all, it's the consciousness that first gets impacted is the body's overall consciousness, the innate consciousness, because it's going through an upgrade, because it has been isolated for a very long time. Specifically, with 10 out of the 12 DNAs have been quite isolated. Now, they have been coming on board more along the way, and of course, it's gradually introduced not to be too over-impactful, overloading, and so forth. The other two are actually some of the filters are dissolving, so that not only are they coming online, they're coming in more clear, and they're coming into more of its natural resonance than what was being filtered and streamed. So with that understanding, this is all taking place that a lot of people can't say, well, it's tangible. That's true. And when I say tangible, it's people that actually are living in the mainstream world, looking at the world and are relating to the world as their governance, as their feedback, how they feel about their experience, how they feel about their experience or anything of that nature that's happening with them. Also, how people are interacting with them, how the main operating systems and so forth around you, like the different levels of systems that exist, how people are reacting with one another, how certain individuals in certain key positions or what looks like key positions are acting out and playing out and so forth. Now, you will notice also there's a lot of fluctuation going on. The fluctuation where we are feeling a form of excitement to a certain degree and then feeling down. And that is, again, really just keeping that motion going until we find our own personal grounding within ourselves. And that's what's going on. So now what you're going to notice, the part of the upgrade I want to also mention, is that you will notice in the picture of what we call reality, the game of life, a lot of the systems, a lot of the role players, a lot of the things that are playing out right now seem quite chaotic, unstable, uncertain. It doesn't stop there. We're also finding that we are plugging ourselves with expectations, with the idea that if certain things come in, things are going to be better, or there's going to be much more progress. So at times you're going to see that part that you have a preference for, and then you're going to see that preference kind of taken away, or at least that's what it looks like. That will alter your frequency, you will alter how you feel about yourself and accessibility to a higher aspect of yourself and your own sourceness. This is all instrumental to facilitate you to achieve that self-grounding, connecting with all that makes up you. All right? So what are we talking about? We're talking about the full makeup of the consciousness of the body, the full makeup and the energy and consciousness and everything that's involved with the human entity, your own soul, your mind that is the powerful processor that project these realities. So all of that is your grounding to you. But that doesn't stop there, because that you is also sourceness, is also the creator, is also the creator in action that created this experience that you're in, from form, being body, to all the layers of reality and so forth. Because this reality, these screens of movies that we're seeing as reality are our own makeup. We're designing it to the degree. Now, there are certain ranges that have been accepted and played out from a collective. And the collective, again, you got to understand, every single person on the planet, every sentient being, everything is an aspect of you. Now, not you saying, oh, I am George, I am Cindy, I am Fred, I am Janice, or whatever it is. It's not that. That is a part of it, but that's just the character. That's the little icon that's inside the video game, the movie. So we're basically looking at the whole scape. So right now, you're going to notice that you're going to feel up and down and so forth. Now, the more that you're grounded, self-grounded, the more you're going to go into observer state. As an observer state, you see the movie as it is. But the movie is not rigid. You also see it as something that you can observe and actually tweak along the way by just start to see what you see within you, what you already see as your reality. Now, that your reality can be deceiving and confusing because there's a reality that is constructed through this inverted matrix, inverted 3D, all the programming, conditioning, responded experiences that we had at different states of consciousness, different planetary frequency, our own different planetary experiences, experiences and so forth, that have kind of created a facade of who you think you are. And that is also breaking down, especially when people are saying, well, I don't even know who I am anymore, because you're basically dissolving those facades and you're now accessing that higher aspect of yourself, the true aspect of yourself. So all of this that's playing out right now, as it is all coming together, you're now tapping into that largeness or that essence of you as that sourceness having this experience. Now, you will also notice that people are reacting a very interesting way. Right now, being the timing that it is, we're in the midst where there's still uncertainty, depending if you're in North America, especially if you're in the United States, there's still a governmental thing or a possible change of leadership and whatever else. So there's elections and all the other stuff that's associated with it that has been coming up to the surface, that is playing out. Depending on where you are in the world, you may have a much more powerful impact or less impact with this reoccurring shutting down, reoccurring of this so-called villain of some device, what we call virus or whatever you want to call it, that, you know, now we have to have more lockdowns, more restrictions, and so forth. So this can really shift your energy in a big way depending on how you see it. Now, if you're seeing it from the mind's eye, from the ego's eyes, it's going to be very polarized, and it can be really swung very heavily into the fear state, into the judgment state, into non-acceptance, and so forth. If you're seeing it as from a higher perspective, from your not only your true makeup, being the soul, your human entity, and the physical aspect of it, and that combined consciousness and awareness and that knowingness as sourceness itself, it will see the thing completely different. It will see it as what it is, a game. It will not get involved in the fact of whatever's happening. It does not have a do or don't, you know, in a sense where we're doomed if it goes one way and we're not doomed if it goes the other way. It doesn't have that type of a preference, but it has a preference of how it wants to plug it in. So from that higher perspective, it sees the game and says, how can we utilize the game at this point in time while projecting a new reality? That will mean that no matter what is playing out, you're going to be you. No matter what's going to be played out, you have the power. You're in that empowered state where you can decide how far you play the game, what you agree upon or not, what you adopt or not, and you can actually shift your energy enough so that you are not even noticed when you don't want to be noticed by the lower vibrational playmates that you may have down there, because the different levels of playground, you're in one playground, you have different bands of frequency. If you're in the lower frequency, the frequency where majority of the people are in, then guess what? You're going to be in the thick of it. You're going to be experiencing it through and through everything that's playing out, to the point of fear, depression, upset, or you want to fight and you want to, you're now governed in that. And there's a beautiful dance of that corresponding energy and many, many playmates that are there. If you're going into the next level, then you're going to notice that you're not affected by that energy that much at all. In fact, you may have little quirks of whatever you're observing, but you see it more as a game, okay? But so you're not navigating it in a very powerful way, but at the same time, you're holding your own space and you're not giving power to whatever, because this down here in this band of frequency, there is tons of support. Not only is there lots of playmates in that range, but there is a lot of systems that all reflected around there, such experts, such the media, the all types of support there, and a lot of different industries and systems that are deeply involved in that level. Now, there's systems in the upper level too, but they're easier going. They're not going to be so deep in that part. So you have a lot of support there. So once you go down there, because of something that triggers with you, because of certain fear, whatever it is, it gets pretty sticky down there. It's like quicksand in a way. And it's a little harder to get out. In some cases, quite hard. And it depends on if you don't really have a good grounding with yourself or other levels, it can get pretty sticky down there and it can be very hard to get out. And a lot of people are experiencing that. But while you're down there, let me just move this over. While you're down there, so let me just put these 3 levels there. I know I'm using my hands, but okay. So this is the lower. This is mid. Oops. So that's mid. And this is your higher band. And of course we have higher than that. But anyways, just let's play with these 3 because these are the most common right now. So like I said here, there's tons of support, tons of playmates, and so forth. Give me a second here. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm trying to monitor this. I'm flying solo. Kimberly's on the phone with me. So she will handle the questions and so forth and let me know. But I'm also running all the electronics here. Sometimes I get things acting up here. Okay, so in this level, like I said, in this range, let me use a different color here, you have a lot of support. And all the mainstream media, pretty well, okay? And all of these so-called experts, the larger groups that are involved, including all the different instrumental, superficial or self-dominated and whatever else authorities, really spend all their energy in here because this is where the bulk of the playmates are there. This next range, you have less effect from this, but you still have some. And you can shift you. So this level here, when we're talking about this range right here, it's kind of in between. You're getting some stuff, but at the same time, you can say go out, and it doesn't matter what's going on. You can play the game, but you're not sucked in by it, and it doesn't affect you. You're not walking around judging people. You may get a touch of it sometimes, but it's not going to suck you in completely. So even if they're saying, oh, you can't come in unless you sanitize and you put masks and do whatever, or the fact that they're saying, hey, you got to be vaxxed and whatever else and so forth, you're still very powerfully, I'm okay with that. And you can play certain parts of it, but you still have a choice how much you go into it, and you're not sucked in. So it doesn't matter where you're here. In this level here, you're not very open to anything alternative. And when I mean alternative news, meaning going to what is true. Because this, they call a lie cesspool. Now, I don't like the word lie as much, untruth, whatever it is. But guess what it is? What it truly is, I'm trying to monitor this. What truly is a made up, in reverse storyline, way of observing. It's made up. Now, everything in a game of life is made up anyways, but at the same time, this does not reflect what really is taking place. It's not transparent. It has this layer. So it's like you being here, okay? You being here, and you're looking this direction, and you're seeing, you know, this what we call matrixal display of sorts, the reality of the world. But what happens is this puts in these filters in between. Different concepts that are not a true reflection of what is from a higher reality experience. So it's like saying, I see the video game, which is this. I see the video game. I can play this video game. But this is actually giving you a distorted version of the video game. It's not making you see all the controls. It's not, and it's also plugging in something that doesn't actually work, or it's giving you false instructions. So this is all what we can call the reverse part, or inverted is another word, which is mainly used, inverted, and that's the matrix, when the inverted matrix, which is not alive in a sense of its capacity to do something, and what we call the inverted 3D and 2D. So all of that is there. That's all implanted in front. So this is what you're seeing. So there's two things going on. If you get so wrapped up in everything that's going on, who's winning, who may not win, and so forth, that, you know, we're forced to shut down and we have to, you know, do this and that we may not have freedom and so forth, and it's really impacting you energetically, it's impacting you emotionally, and it's making you feel like crap, and it's, you know, it's really, you know, feeling hopeless and so forth, you're in here. And these filters are very, very powerfully affecting what really is in the screen, what is really the true makeup. Because this is creating the inverted. This is the organic matrix. Oops. All right. Organic matrix that came in online, which was always online, but we weren't accessing it because the inverted matrix was in between. So this is what is, so if we're focusing on the mainstream and what other so-called experts and authority and so forth, it has a tendency to reinforce this, which keeps us in this range down here, the lower range. This is a lower access of consciousness, a lower access of your frequency, so you're kind of dialing down your frequency. And so in that regards, what you're doing at this point is that you're playing with limitations, and at the same time, when you're in a state of limitation, what occurs is that you're more subject to what is being projected from a collective scape. Now there's collective, there's a true, pure collective, and then there's the superficial collective, which is everything still supported from this old design that's still active, not active by reinforcing it or giving it strength. Let me just fix this. There, sorry about that. Active because we're still giving power to it, but it's not, in a way, being reinforced as it was. But, so this, and we're going to go back to looking at that shortly. So when you're shifting from there to here, you're going into this band, and there's gradients of this band, of course. So as you're going into this, less and less of whatever's playing out stays adhered to whatever this is projecting. So even if you're seeing these particular filters, you see through the filters. So you're seeing through the filters. Now, while you're seeing it through the filters, you also can pick up some of the information, but you're not giving it power. You're not internalizing that. You're not plugging it in to as a substance or as an energy source or a consciousness that in one way or another is going to shape your reality. So you're taking that out of the equation. For example, you're going to go to some place and they're saying you can't come in unless you have masks and you do this or that or whatever it is. Now, if you get caught up in that whole thing and you feel bad about it and you say, I don't want to do this and whatever else, and it kind of makes you feel I have no freedom and so forth, then what's happening is you're taking that experience and plugging it into your reality, and now you're shifting your reality. You may even have been at this level right here, and you may have dropped yourself back down here just by integrating with that. And that's great. You want to observe it, that's fine. So you can shift it and go back up. So this is the thing. So you want to be very, very attentive to what you're exposed to and how it affects you. The reason I'm saying this has always been the case, but right now, with everything else that's going on, this is on overdrive and supercharged, but at the same time, you're getting much more skilled to be able to move through this with more ease, even though at times you may drop a few notches, especially when you're playing with certain partners, or you're playing with certain groups of people, or you're playing with family specifically, stuff like that. And, they say whatever it is, they can actually lower you there. But the only reason that it lowers you there is because you still have something active there. So you want to go, no, we're not going there. We're not going to play there. But you're not going to even try to fight or judge or anything of that nature. You let them have their experience because you are choosing to support this higher state as you go along. So like I said, in this band, when you're in this band, you can observe. You may feel certain changes, but it does not impact you to the same degree. You may have very little waves of adjustments that you may experience in the sense of raising and lower your frequency, especially what's going on with everything that's changing very rapidly. And the other thing is, too, when we're putting reliance for a certain individual, say in the United States, a certain president to come back in, or the possibility of the other to come in, or whatever it is. And of course, there's been some things that show, oh, it's hopeless, it's going to go this way, and then sometimes it's hopeful, it goes this way. If that is adjusting and affecting you in a powerful way, then you're kind of in here, you're going back down into here, and this becomes more vivid. If you have reliance on someone saying, we need that particular person to come back for another 4 years, or we need this new person to come in for 4, even though they have been around for a long time, but just say they come in for 4 years with all their team and whatever else, that's the solution. That's going to make the world better. Guess where? You're here. You're in this level right here. But this heavily promotes disempowerment. That's a long word to write on this thing. promotes disempowerment. And what is disempowerment? It's when you are not connecting to, I actually am the creator. I am actually the one that designs my reality. I'm actually the one that chooses how I want to experience, and I'm the one that's instructing whoever comes into my reality to play with. I actually say what I want to play or say to me and how we're going to engage. That's empowerment. When you're in disempowerment, you are not seeing any of that. You're seeing that the fact, okay, that whoever is there, they're governing your well-being, your reality, how you're going to feel, how things are going to be. So if you're expecting one of those two, or anybody at this point in time from wherever the part of the world to make your life better, you're in a disempowered state. You want to get into the empowered state where you say, I am the master here. I'm going to create my reality as is, and I'm going to perpetuate that. So in fact, I'm going to tell them how to act, how to respond, what to do until I make them obsolete. And the reason you're making them obsolete because you don't need them anymore. And when I say need, I'm not even talking about, oh, they have to be there. No, you see that there's other aspects of yourself that's playing the game, so you're not just going to unplug it because they're not ready, those other aspects of yourself. Like, for example, even if you brought it closer to home and say, well, you know, if I get rid of such and such, you know, the kids are going to be fine or whatever, right? Yeah, that can happen, but at the same time, you're going to say, okay, we're going to do this transitioning, but I'm going to say and design so that things go a particular way rather. So you want to be, this is the thing, the shifting is going into an empowered state rather than the disempowered state. You want to go into the empowered state. This supports empowerment right here in this range right there. Because now you're in the game, you see the game, you navigate the game, you can get, you know, take part of that game and utilize it, but it doesn't totally govern you because you're in an empowered state. So you're actually utilizing the next level of free will, which was the original free will in the first place. We've always had it, it's just the fact of how we've been allowing it to use. Down here, free will doesn't exist, or at least it seems that way because it does. Here, it tells you how to use your free will. Here, you're more empowered and say, no, I govern my own free will. I'm going to use my own inner connection, my own inner guidance system to design. So that's that. When you get into this range, your higher range, now you're not only seeing this, but you're actually seeing the next level. Let me change the color of that. You're seeing the next level of creation. So you're looking at another level of reality. That is the reality a lot of people call the new world. It is a reality that has a very integrated organic matrix, integrated organic 3D, and integrated organic 5D. Okay? So here, you're pretty well somewhat invisible to whatever is playing out. You can see it, but it's just like, it's like you sitting in front of the TV watching it, but you're not even given a power what you're watching. In fact, you have the choice to watch it or not. In this case, no matter what the media is doing, it doesn't matter what other people are doing, it's not of interest. You don't even focus it. You don't focus it. You live your life. You start to connect with others that are at that stage, and you start shaping reality as a new reality. So the future in there is in construction mode, using the highest quality of consciousness and awareness with self-knowing of sourceness. So here, you're invisible, specifically to down here, So you could play the game, do whatever you're doing, but you're not even seen. Because you're not saying, here I am. No, you're living your life. Now, part of the process that's going on is that more and more people are going into this area, and then some of the ones that have been here have been going into here. You can go back and forth for sure, and a lot of people do that. We all do to some degree or another. But that's what's going on here in that regard. So we have to understand what is really happening right now. I shortened it, happening now, and not put right now. But what's happening is we're stimulating ourselves in every which way, even in the scape of what the movie, and also accentuating these parts so that more of us step out of this web that seems very difficult to come out and to go into here, the next level, to be able to be much more observant and free and playful and not really be affected by much of that, and then more to come into here and going into that state, because this is where we truly experience this new world. Now, we have many, many movies because each one of this has different degrees of, how can I say, it's not realism, but in a sense where, yes, each one of these have a different range of dependency. Here, you depend on your reality, your environment, whatever is around there collectively and so forth, whoever you're playing with and so forth. The reliance here, the dependency here is that the focus is, for me to have a better experience, things need to change. The reliance on this next level is, I am part of the participation and I'm not depending on what's around me to shape it. I'm going to use what's around me to start shaping it according to who I am. And from that inner knowing. This range, you're in complete renewal, complete redesign, completely. So you're almost like whatever's there, you're only using the basic, I shouldn't even say basic, the most natural blueprint of all the sentient beings, all playmates that are going to play with you there, and also the planet and so forth, that you are not in any way, shape, or form governed by whatever is going. It's like this. Oh, it doesn't matter what I have on the screen. I can wipe it all out and just rebuild it, and I'm going to start rebuilding it. Even if it's a layer over it, it's going to actually dissolve the other stuff behind it. So there's a difference between, and that's right now. The reason we're even doing this episode is that to understand that this is on overdrive, and it has been for a while, and it's being presented again because the boogeyman's come out again. Possibly a winner and a loser in the governmental stuff. Possibly all these medical so-called experts saying, okay, it's dangerous, this pandemic, whatever it is, it's going to destroy us, and we got to flatten curves, and we got to do this, and we got to lock ourselves down, we got to shut down this. Then, of course, there's a lot of people pushing on the fact that there's these negative narratives, and they want to bring communism, and they want to bring in I can't even say, control of one individual or group of people totally taking over the planet and everything and civilization, that you will have no freedom whatsoever. And it's already being displayed in a very powerful way. You cannot travel anymore unless you go for this magic elixir that you inject in yourself. Or that in some way that you now, until then, you have to cover yourself. Or the fact that at some point they may even introduce the fact that because you didn't go through those protocols that you are a danger and so forth. This is being pushed super powerfully to get us to the point, not only saturation, to the point of saying it's not worth playing this game or living if this is what I'm going to live in. Then we make a choice to say, okay, I am now stepping out of this, and I don't give a hoot what anybody wants to play, and I'm not going to give any more power to any individual, which is another aspect of me that is playing that particular role, because I am here in a much more empowered state and creating a reality. I'm going to see the game, but I'm going to see it as a game, and I'm ready to rock this game. Not in fight mode, not in judgment, because when you're here and truly here ingrained, you're not going to judge the playmates down here. You're not going to even judge yourself that you were down there. Because I've seen some people that, have been propagating the narrative, the agenda, and then they start to come to a realization and go, oh my God, what have I done? No, you played there, you shared it with others, you facilitated others, you even bring them into the mud pit because you thought it was fun there, because you were having fun. When we have fun, we want to share it, don't we? So here we are. So you end up going into this range, and that's what's being pushed right now. So instrumentally now is realize, wait a minute, this is what's happening. This, with what we call, or people call, lies, which is actually everything in reverse. Because you have to look at it. Please pay attention to it if you choose to do so. That everything that we've learned as a way of life, as how we truly are naturally, that has come from any form of mainstream, any form of educational, from any books that have been passed on, even traditions that have been passed on, were all constructs of the inverted matrix, inverted 3D and 2D, that were made up to create an alternative viewpoint that was supporting devolving, supporting separation, promoting polarity, and it has no real reflection of our true nature, our true design, and what we are even here to do. So, somebody says to me, well, everything I've learned is a lie. Well, yeah, everything is in reverse. Absolutely. And sometimes it's not even in reverse. It's just a made-up concept that is so far-fetched that it doesn't even plug in at all. This is the thing. So for us to create reliance on what we've learned, what we have observed and experienced from other states of ourselves, because we are different states. We're always changing. This is why you cannot look at your past part of your life and different versions of yourself, because that's what happens. You create a different version of yourself. You're just an energy and a consciousness that is in the field of sourceness that is always redesigning yourself. We talk about the body's regenerating, making new cells and so forth. There's trillions and billions or whatever amount of cells that are always regenerating and creating new cells and whatever else. But what happens? We're regenerating so quickly, but if our focus and energy and everything else is the same, we regenerate the same thing. But just your whole representation, not only the body, the human entity, soul, combination, mind, and everything else, and how you play the field around you, you regenerate constantly. So you can never regenerate exactly the same, because in fact, you're changing, the energies is changing, the landscape is changing all the time. So you can't look at a version where you made a certain decision, had a certain experience, labeled it as good, bad, right, wrong, or defined yourself as being this or that because of that, or because of anything else that you've chosen, or that you took the wrong path or anything of that nature. First of all, you got to wipe that all out, because there are no mistakes, there are no wrong paths, there are different paths with different experiences, with different opportunities for you to advance. So let that go. So you want to look at the version that you are now. At this version, where do I want to play? Do I play here, or do I go and play here? Where am I going to go? The choice is yours. And this is the choice you're making right now. So yes, whatever you've learned, whatever you experience, cool. But don't attach to it. Don't carry it with you. Don't even use that as an example of what you represent. allow the newest you version of you to always be there moment by moment, because a new version of you is there every moment. So that's what's happening. So right now, yes, we're being offered through the media, through so-called experts, through each other, that, oh my gosh, either the demons are causing this, that there's evil people, and the fact that in one way or another we got to be scared of this thing, or that in one way or another if somebody comes in a position in the correct, that's when the only time the world's going to change or be better or even go back. Build it back better? Really? Or the fact that, yeah, we just bring it back to its natural, or what was? There's no was. What was. We're no longer there. We create everything brand new. That's the thing. So that's what's happening. What's our role? Our role is for you to shift yourself. How do you do it? You want to look at how you can shift into this a lot easier? This has many things in there. You may turn around and start unplugging yourself from the sources that remind you this is your playground. Illusionary. So you may start to shift what media you put attention to, what you listen to, who you engage with. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. You just have now a preference to say, I choose to find something that matches my new energy, or even the energy I'm working towards, because I am reactivating that energy. So you start to shift away from that. Because look, as you're doing that, you're actually creating openings for other aspects of yourself in the collective to join you, even if they're not going to interact with you personally. That means they will go into that same range. So you're going to limit your exposure to a lot of so-called propaganda, whatever it is, whatever the mainstream is offering. You're going to start shifting away from looking at your past and saying, this is what's happened, or whatever it is. No, it doesn't matter where you are. You are perfectly where you are now, and go from there. You're not going to give power to what is said or attachments to anybody. By doing that, you're impactful, not only for your immediate reality, meaning your own personal life and how you're experiencing your life, but everybody you interact with, every cluster that you're involved with, being family, partnerships, your own personal families, if they're as close, your immediate families, your work environment, your communities, and so forth. That all changes accordingly. Were you going to say something, Kimberly, or did I hear? Okay, I haven't had any. No, I've been good. I was only the first 17 minutes I got in. It did dip for a while. Okay, so it could be on your own side. Okay, so anyways, this is what we're looking at. By unplugging yourself from all of the stuff that's down here, because this is magnetized. It is like an addiction. It pulls on you. Now, the other thing you want to look at, if you have a certain belief, idea, concept, perception of some sort, what's going to happen is, as long as that perception is there, you're trying to always quantify and qualify and reinforce what that belief may say or that perception may be saying. If you feel that there's a belief that others can change the world, and you can, I'm just giving you this as an example, then you're going to always be looking at who's going to be the new leader, who's going to be the one that's going to guide us, who's going to be the one that's going to carry us through. That's just one example. if you feel that there's a preference on one side or another, how the outcomes of anything, you're going to now listen to a lot of the what do you call it? The mass media, oh, geez, sometimes the words slip of my mind. Oh, anyways, you're going to listen to the media that's focused to that. I can't remember the word, but it's okay. On that direction, because you're looking for qualification, quantification, and so forth within yourself and say, okay, I got to do that. So you want to make sure, why am I drawn to this? What am I feeling and so forth? What am I trying to do here? Oh yeah, I'm just trying to match with my perception of belief. So you want to look at it and say, what do I perceive or believe? Oh, I believe that this individual is going to fix things. And if this individual comes in, or if this organization changes, or all of a sudden there's financial resource, or whatever it is that things are going to be better, you want to look at that and you want to get rid of those things because those are going to attract you. So you want to be paying attention to where your focus is so that you can shift from this range and start going into this range. Okay, yes, Kimberly just said narrative. All right, thank you for that. So you're looking at paying attention because right now, like I said, this is very magnetized. It's alluring very powerfully. And things like I had said in an earlier update a few weeks ago, that coming into November, December, that we were going to have further intensification, further instability. And it's really going to push us harder. So this becomes more powerful drawn-wise, like pull you into this group, and it's going to take you up and down like crazy. And then there is the other side that is also allowing you to shift out of it. So it's not there, okay, it's going to control me and I have no capacities to self-navigate or anything of that nature. No, it's going to pull you there so you get your attention. One of the things you're going to notice, if you're down here, especially if you're paying attention and you see how every little piece of news, every little bit of information, whoever you connect with is reinforcing this stage, you're going to say, hey, wait a minute. It's time for me to shift away from that. Because you start to realize it. Then you're going to make conscious efforts to go into this direction. And what does that mean? You're going to start unplugging from all of that stuff. You're going to start connecting with yourself, and you're going to start noticing that you're now going into that other, that basically bypasses all of this, these filters, and you start to see this. You see this. Once you get into there, you now see this, which is the new constructed world that we've been playing with, which people call the new world, the new whatever. They have different names for it. All right. So I wanted to share this because right now it's very powerful. We can be pulled one way or another. And more than ever, it's instrumental, and this goes back to our role. Let me change that to your role, because it's all of ours. Your role. So that's, what's your role? Your role. Your role is not to get caught up in whatever's going on. It is basically connecting with that part of you that's shifting into here, because as more people are going into this range and in that range, this world starts to fade. See, once upon a time, there was a story, but I'm just kidding here. Once upon a time, not that long away, the inverted matrix was fully active. The moon, the transmitter for it, was fully active. The inverted 3D and inverted 2D was very heavily stimulated. Now this, of course, requires your ego. And we still have that, even though it's losing ground and it's not supported, unless we play a lot of that. That's the other thing I wanted to mention, is that if you're playing down this range, there's more engagement with the ego, because the ego will support you to go down there, and what you're playing down here is actually supporting the ego, keeps it alive, it keeps it re-energized, even though the ego itself has no support anymore, because it was relying on the inverted matrix and the streaming of the inverted 3D and 2D state. Again, the reason I say it's inverted, because everything was backwards. So we're really just breaking down, dissolving, reversing all the inversion, all the backwardness. That's what we're doing. So all the backwardness is right now put back into its natural state. It was natural for a long time, but then has been inverted for the 10,000 so years. Even our own operating system physically, how we function and so forth. Okay, so that's that. So your role is to shift yourself from here to go into here. Your actions, your energy, your focus, everything else is going to eliminate, it's going to stimulate very much this state and move forward, reducing the feed, the energy required to keep this active, to keep that bandwidth alive. Like I said, this is not feeding any longer. What's feeding it? Only the playmates there is. Because if you look at it, all the media stuff, everything that you're seeing is still very polarized. Polarized is a reflection of the inverted matrix. Good, bad, right, wrong, hatred, worry, fear, lack of control, being dictated and not being able to make your own choices and so forth is all in around this range. And as long as we feel that way, the fact that we're going to lock ourselves down, put masks on, hide in the homes and not have certain people and not having gatherings, you're not connecting and so forth, guess what? It's feeding this. It's not getting it from here, but we are. But all of that is to create the opportunity for everybody in here to get to the saturation point and then make a new choice. And some of you already made choices and have already taken action to spend more of your time here and visit there and eventually go beyond that. Of course, it's not limited. It can go further than that, but we're not going to go there because that's a bit of work to do, and not that the focus at the moment. All right, so that's that. Now I have a bunch of little notes that I made myself, so I'm going to start using it. So I'm going to move this over, get rid of my bit of my mess there. Let me plug these in here, because I already covered a lot of this, so we may not have to go. Okay, so what is really happening right now, we've talked about. So right now, polarity is accentuated. Opportunity is made more available. Transparency, disclosure is coming up. Look at this. What's transparency and disclosure all about? It's about seeing what has been projected as an illusion so that we could see the illusion for what it is. The illusion. The concocted state of life or idea of life that is reflective of the inverted matrix. That's what we're noticing. We're also noticing all the people that we have given power to, organization we have given power to, systems that we've given power to the point of total disempowerment, is now becoming more apparent. As you can see, the role players are, what's the word? Their functionality is unstable. They're acting out. So here we are. You put somebody on a pedestal. This guy's like cool, like he's the savior or whatever he is. And then he starts acting weird. He starts to seem incoherent. He starts to kind of show that he has no idea what he's doing. But that's part of the role. And he's the one that's telling you because he's the so-called labeled expert and the labeled authority to tell you how to live your life, and when he has no clue, because we already could see through that it's fake, that it's still holding that lower state. We're noticing that. We're noticing instability for most of the systems, instability within the role players within systems, even in different groups. Example, religion and other organizations. That's where the transparency. But it's also showing what old narratives would have been, old agendas, the shadow people, which people call it. I'm just using these words so you probably recognize it because other people have used those words. The ones that were in the shadow, the ones that were controlling but you couldn't see, the ones that you didn't know were there. So they're becoming more to the surface. Their true colors and whatever else. Not the colors in the sense you say, okay, they're good, they're bad, they're evil, or anything of that nature. No, they're just showing you, hey, we're just playing out a role. We're not here to be your authority anymore, even though we projected that while we were playing in the polarity game, in the inverted part of it. And that's what's going on. The fact of seeing that there are many other alternatives, many other probabilities and possibilities. The fact that we are not confined, binded, or the fact that we're not just a physical, limited representation that we've been experiencing at this point. So we're starting to see more of that. It's coming more transparent. It's coming more to the surface. Why are people showing themselves vulnerably? Because they are wanting to let go of their role, because they're done playing the role. They don't need to play it. So they're going to push you and push you against the wall or in the corner or anything of that nature, but also they're showing you their weakness. The weakness is not because they're weak, because of the fact that, hey, I really don't know. Look at some of those so-called experts about this so-called virus and whatever else, and the tests and all of that stuff. Well, they're making it look like, oh my God, this is going up, and we're doing all this extra stuff. And in real life, when we look at it, it's not even close to that. Not only by numbers, but even the test actually doing anything. That it's not even testing for that. Just to give you an example. That's becoming more transparent because others are speaking up and saying, hey, wait a minute, this was never designed for that. It was never to be done, including the guys that put it together or the person who invented it, whatever. Just giving you that as an example here. The other thing that's coming up too is the fact that when we're looking at these so-called experts, one day they say one thing, next thing they say something else. They actually contradict themselves. In fact, they say, oh, I never meant that, I meant this. And then later on, oh, I didn't mean that either, I'm going to say this. And they're swaying back and forth. There's no stability, no accuracy, no clarity in any way, shape, or form. You can see their mannerism, you can see their energy, that they're, what do they call it, lie or whatever else. They're making up fictional stuff. Why? Why? Because they're showing you, we are not the experts. I want you to unplug yourselves from our expertise. You're wanting my expertise, and I'm going to give you a lot of falsities. I'm going to give you all different versions until you get to the point of saying, hey, I'm going to go into self-governance here. I'm not going to give any more power to this. No way. And this is what we're doing. So when we're looking at it, that's really what's happening. Transparency, exposure, and all of that. There's more to the update, which I'll bring up. Just in case I forget, Kimberly, just remind me later. Okay, so the purpose behind it, the purpose behind that is exactly what I've described. It's to advance us, to break out of that spell, that stuck state. Because we have. We got complacent. Now, I'm not saying everybody is still in that state, because many are moving forward. Many of you are investing your time and energy to work on yourself and also to be exposed to content that actually supported. Now, there's lots of content that is skewed or misleading And there's way more of that. The ratio is phenomenal in one way versus the other. This is why it's so important to tune into it, see what resonates for you, and utilize only what resonates for you. Our role moving forward, is to get out of that range that I was showing before. Oops. Out of here, going into here, shifting what you put your focus, energy, and so forth on. And that changes your reality, the extended realities that you're involved in, the different extensions that occur, and including the collective. Let's call it that. And we will just stop at that for the collective part. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Some of this will be just a quick walkthrough because of when I get on a talking all right. So, what's going on right now? Many may have chosen to look at all that is taking place as a bad and even possibly devastating state that we're in. Yes, and many of us, including yourselves, at certain times may have seen that this is bad. This is devastating. If we don't get over this, we're destroyed. If we don't make certain changes, that, we'll be extinct. And we're going to give power to that. And we're going to really, it goes back to that lower band of frequency. Like I said, there's your 3. This is your lower. This is your mid-range. This is your high. So you're basically going to be, they're focusing on that until you get to the point where you no longer want to put any energy into that. So, bad and even devastating. If you feel that way, I can give you an idea, a process you can do. Take everything that you've heard that reflects devastation or badness and spend some time, close your eyes, and just see the worst scenario you can concoct. Martial law, killing people, whatever it takes to push you to that extreme. Whatever emotions you feel it. Be present with it. Look at any story that comes up that says that you are a victim to the reality, a victim to whatever's playing out. That you have no control, that you have no freedom. Whatever it takes, by doing that, you're going to make it so real and impactful, and then eventually it starts to dissolve. It starts to get to the point of ridiculousness, and you start to shift away from that. That's how you can use it. It does not change the fact that a grander purpose is at play, which we are part in restoring our true nature. And that is really what we're doing. We're going away from what was applied 10,000 years ago, which was a representation and a matrix that was inverted, a matrix that was designed to devolve you, a devolved consciousness, a limitation or a limiting of consciousness, getting lost in the so-called what looked like the human experience, even though it was not natural human experience, getting caught up on everything outside rather than, self-navigation, going into victim state, disempowered state, all of that, okay? So the purpose is to restore all of our true nature. So we're actually taking all that we've experienced for 10,000 years. Depends on how much of time you've been here. Your body has been here all 10,000 years, in and out, of course, in different forms and different energies and so forth. So is the human entity. Human entity has incarnated many, many times, and of course it created shifts and so forth, connections and exchanging and whatever it is. And your soul may have been here over those 10,000 years, once, twice, 10 times, 100 times, 200 times, whatever times, or not. Could be your first time here, regardless. That's all come into place because your soul is the multidimensional component that goes and play on other planets where the other two don't. They're just designed for this. So you're restoring its true nature. That's the true purpose. You're bringing it all back into play. So that first 5,000 years, you're bringing that in an upgraded version. And that's the process right now. Because we've chosen to get back online, to be back on track. Yes, there's going to be some fast tracking, and that's what we're already doing. This is why the changes are so immense and so fast, if you want to call it that, for lack of better words right now. It's transforming and shifting, and everything is coming in so expansiveness, so much expansiveness in it in such a high speed. And when I say speed, it is sequences of changes. And that's all coming into place. So that is the grander purpose. It's not about anything else. That's the grander purpose. For us to be able to see the big picture, which a lot of times, we talk about it, to see the big picture, to see really what's happening, see the opportunities that are going. So for us to be able to see the bigger picture of all that is taking place, make full use of this opportunity, at the same time stepping into our role more effectively. For us to do that, it will require us to view things from an expanded and higher perspective. That means you shift away from the perspective that you got so used to, which is a view and reflection of what's playing out within the game of your existing life and the collective life, and now tapping into you that is expansive. That part of you sees a huge picture, not even a big picture, it's a huge picture. It sees the full game. And it also can see how we can step in and play an active role. You've always played an active role, but more of a dominant active role, a more leadership active role rather than, the other version of role. So you do require the expanded and higher perspective. Does this exist? Absolutely. That is natural. All the rest is not. So when you're tuning into yourself, this is why there's so much emphasis on tuning onto yourself, because when you're tuning in, when you go, for example, using meditation and you connect with yourself, you quieten the ego mind, because the ego mind likes to keep you here in the lower realm, because that's what it's programmed and designed to do. It has very, very little impact here. Very little. Here it runs the show pretty well. And it has a lot of help, a lot of support from everything else that's out there. What do you think? There's so much energy, time, and focus on projecting the polarity world. Why is the mainstream, why all of that is playing out the way it is? To reinforce and support the ego, because that's the one that keeps you in the lower part. It's that artificial intelligence that actually is designed for the inverted matrix, inverted 3D, unconscious state, devolving state of being. So when you go into that quieter state and you connect through meditation or whatever you're using, and you connect with yourself, you bypass the ego, and now you're connecting with you. That you is expansive you. That you is multidimensional. That you has tremendous amount of experience, not only in other forms, non-form, and a certain level of sourceness, but also have the backing and also the access to your oversoul made up of 24 different souls, or 23 that are not the one that's in your body. And also you're tapping into the consciousness of the body, which is the extension of the consciousness of Gaia, which is the extension of also the consciousness of all sentient beings, from plant life to animal kingdom, birds and oceanics, you name it, all of it. So you're tapping into all of that. And when you're doing so, you're able to see the bigger picture, the expanded view, and it empowers you to take actions that are directed from that viewpoint rather than the projected viewpoint that has been playing out for the last 10,000 years. And we're reversing all of that. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay. I'm going to go through these some quicker just because of the fact that I covered a lot. These are kind of reminders just to make sure I don't lose track of what I wanted to talk about. So, no matter how it looks may look on the surface, we are very much in charge of how we may be experiencing things, how it unfolds, how intense it will be to produce the desired outcome. The desired outcome. So let's take those in stages. No matter how it may look on the surface. On the surface, it could look like, hey, we're just a victim. On the surface, it may look like we have no choice, no control. We're kind of the victim. Remember, when you're blaming somebody, you're taking on the victim role. When you are expecting somebody else to save you, you're the victim. When you're expecting others to make your life different in one way or another, you're the victim. You're in disempowered state and also playing the victim role. But that's what it looks like on the surface. If you're giving power to one potential president, you now are in disempowered state and victim. Even if they're not going to play the victimizer role, but they're going to play the empowered role, then you're victim to whatever they have to offer, whatever is being projected as a way of life. So on the surface, it may look like that. However, we are very much in charge of how we may experience things. First thing, how we experience it, how we see it, how we integrate it, how we respond, what our energies will be like. If it goes up, down, whatever it is, you are in charge. Just being aware that it does what it does, you are already closer to being in charge. You have more access to that. So, yes, you are in charge of how you experience things and also how it unfolds. How it unfolds for you, how it unfolds with different clusters of aspects, being your immediate family, extended family, your work environment, and so forth. How it unfolds for you, and also how it unfolds collectively. We are in charge. Of course, there's many aspects of ourselves. How intense it will be to produce the desired outcome. So the thing is, a lot of times you say, well, how intense does it have to be? Do we have to go through hell, sort of thing? Do we need to suffer? No. But if that's the only thing that's going to get your attention, if that's the only thing that's going to take you out of your stuck state, if that's the only thing that's actually going to motivate you to make a shift in yourself, then that's what is required. To the degree it's required to get you moving. That's the thing. So we are in charge of that. And when I say we're in charge of it, we actually, from a superconscious state, meaning that you may not be so aware of it in the ego conscious state, and sometimes even bypassed somewhat by the subconscious state, but from a superconscious state, you're saying, oh no, crank up the heat until I get so uncomfortable that I'm ready to take action. I'm going to crank it up some more until I'm ready to go into the next stage. I'm going to crank it up some more until I'm able to get out of my seat or get out of my stuck state or my depressed state or my victim state or whatever that may be. That's the thing. So that's kind of what it is. This is personally and collectively. And when I say personally, you have, or else you wouldn't even be listening to this. So we are very much committed to shifting things regardless of what it will take. Sometimes people say, well, I want to, hang on a sec here. You're still on, Kimberly? Oh, I may have lost her. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I saw my phone lighting up, so I wasn't sure why. Ah, got it. Okay. This is why I have this on, because Miss Kimberly, being the other side of the country, is monitoring what's going on in regards to questions and stuff. Okay, so we are very much committed, regardless of what it'll take. What does that mean? Well, we've gotten to the point where we say we're ready for change. If it needs to get my ass reamed, that's fine. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. If it has to get uncomfortable, if that jail box, whatever it is that we're living in, has to be so much more impressed on us and seem like limited, that's okay with us. As long as it gets me in action, as long as it gets me to connect with myself. Do I have to get, how uncomfortable do I have to get before I actually start connecting with myself, or ourselves, basically? You're saying, whatever it takes, I'm ready to do it. And this is where people are. And this is why you are feeling and experiencing what you're experiencing. The polarity, the intensities, the symptomatic aspects of it, the emotional roller coaster, but also at the same time, where your focus is shifting from one thing to another. All of that is all contributing based on what you are desiring, and that is to shift into that higher reality and become a powerful role player of that reality. So that's the commitment you made. Doesn't matter, whatever it takes, let's push it to the max. I'm okay with this because I know that's the direction that feels natural for me to go. This is why I'm here in the first place on the planet. This is why I am playing with whatever I'm playing. Do you think I came here because I was insane? And I'm talking about from a soul perspective, but also from the other aspects. That, well, I wanted to go see how crazy it was. Yeah, to a certain point, you wanted to see how crazy it was. Yes, you wanted to have some pretty powerful, profound experiences around that. But at the same time, hey, I don't want to miss this ride. First of all, because it's the most colorful. Second of all, it's the most intense and aggressive as possible. And plus, the progress that I'll make while I'm there is immense, and I can also contribute. So, it does not mean that we need to go through more rough and intense times. Only if needed to push us through and break out of our self-imposed restrictions and our stuck state, as I already said. Now, a lot of times we put self-imposed restrictions. We're the only ones who can create the restrictions. Even when it's presented to us, we have to adopt it. We have to internalize it. We have to actually give it the capacity for us to experience it. This is why it's self-imposed. Somebody can tell you what to do. They can mandate you what to do, but it's until you say, yeah, I'll go for it or not. It doesn't matter what state you're in at the time, even if you're in victim state and you say, okay, I have no choice, that's still a choice you made. Okay? So it's self-imposed. If you only take a part of it, it's still self-imposed. But at the same time, somebody can say, hey, this is how it plays. And you go, absolutely not interested. Yeah, you can go and play, do whatever you want. I'm not abiding to that. Many of us have done it through our own live stream on many, many occasions. Some just chose to go down the path each and every time and see it. So it's whatever it takes. Do we have to go through hell? No. But the option's there. And it's not locked in. You can use a small part of it, or you can use a bigger part of it. That's the beauty. You have the freedom to use any part of it. Okay, I think we're getting close to it now. Oh yeah. All right. Okay. Most certainly it may seem crazy. I don't know. Is it? Does it look crazy? Absolutely. Especially now. I mean, we've gone through crazy times. There's been times that have been even worse than what we are now. However, those versions of ourselves didn't recognize that. Those versions of ourselves were more accepting of whatever was playing out. Would get into the game more deeply and not question it. Now we're questioning it. Now we have more of our eyes open. Now we're seeing, whoa, this looks crazy. Now you're seeing the polarization more. Now you could see the restrictions. Because you know why you could see the restriction? Because you know it doesn't even have to be there. When you cannot see that there's an option out of it, you adopt, accept, internalize whatever restrictions there. And we all have done to a certain degree through our life stream. Now we're recognizing it, and this is why we're questioning it. This is why we're making new choices, that the restrictions do not need to be there, and it's optional. It's our choice. We have the freedom to do so. So yeah, it's going to seem crazy, out of control. Really? Out of control? Kimberly, is things out of control? They're not out of control? Well, it can certainly seem so, but it's not. You're right. It's not out of control, but it seems like out of control. That's why I say seem. It seems because we feel that it's too much variance, no stability, it's going all over the map, people are reacting all different ways. Look at how much people are now. Like people, you didn't see people before taking sides to the degree you see now. And the sides are not just, oh, I'm going to be on this side and the other's going to be on this side. No, we're going on this side, and now I'm going to fight that side, and this side is going, now I'm going to fight that side, to the point of hatred, to the point of, starting riots or whatever it is. And I'm talking about even in the political game. You got one that's supporting one side and one supporting on the other side, and they're basically almost fighting each other in a sense. So it seems out of control. But that's what we want. It's not to be in a controlled structure. We want to be self-control, self-navigation, self-guiding, self-creating. So it's going to look like it's out of control. But in fact, when you connect with yourself, you see yourself, you are in control. You're in the driver's seat more than you've ever experienced before. Nonsensical. Yeah. That's part of the transparency. You're going to see so-called experts nonsensical, making no sense at all, can't back up anything that they're saying, are closed-minded, or whatever it is. In fact, they're acting out in such a ridiculous way that it's showing, hey, I'm not capable of doing anything at this point in time for you. I don't want the role of governing and controlling you. Not anymore, but I'm going to play it out that looks like that. Yeah, things don't make sense, absolutely. But why? So nonsensical how it's playing out. I thought we were evolving. I thought we were moving forward. Why does it look crazier? Well, it's because of that. It's because of us moving forward that we're deconstructing things. We're challenging every system, every role player, every so-called authority and expert and whatever else. Because the expertise is where you are self-discovering. It's not like, oh, here's a pocket of an idea. This is an idea. Whatever the idea is. Narratively designed or not, here's an idea. And then what do? it's going to show that we're going to fight to the death to defend this idea. Oh, this is history. This is what we've discovered. This is what such and such have confirmed and, supported each other for. Is that natural? Not at all. No way in any creation. You can get an idea, but the idea has to be open. The idea has to continue to build and expand and actually look at the big picture. Not even the big picture of higher consciousness, because that's the next level, but even the big picture of how things are really looking at. How many times have you heard, all the scientists are saying this, which is this idea, whatever that. I'm just using that as an example. Really? Was it a group of 10 that have the same narrative that are sharing this idea in our thing? Or is it all the scientists? They say, well, 94% or whatever percent. I'm just plugging numbers here. I think it's in the 90-something. Oh, we all agree that this ideal is real and this is a threat and we got to do all types of things to avert it from this little small group. This number is fictional. This number may be just playing with that idea. But then there's 400 other experts, scientists that have not bought into this idea, have been looking at truly in the depth of idea if it actually holds any water, or that in fact it's even accurate, and then they're coming up with a completely different story, or a completely different observation, a deeper understanding of what's really happening and how it actually works. But these guys are discounted. These don't matter, because these 94 out of this, I'm just throwing numbers here, support this idea. So this higher discovery is not accepted. And there's a fight for this. And there's also backing up for that. That's what I'm talking about, the nonsensical. So what happens? It's like, okay, first of all, it's not like, oh, these guys are wrong. You say, well, that's uninteresting, but let me look at it. What else supports it? Is there anybody else that looks at it? And what really resonates with me? Is this really what's happening? Look at this thing, with this whole virus thing that's going on. You got a small group with 102 so-called self-labeled experts saying that, oh, this is dangerous, this is what we got to do. This is what's happening. That may be a handful. Say it's 5 people. Out of these 5 people, there's a whole bunch of other so-called self-labeled experts. Could be 1,000 of those. Just giving you an idea. That bought into that, wouldn't question it, have been trained to put, brainwashed into it, I guess, if you want to call it that, or accepts this idea. Says, okay, I accept this idea. We got to do this, we got to do that. Meanwhile, there's others that are open-minded, are looking at this and say, I'm not going to take the facts that are coming from this small group, this idea from this small group. I'm going to look at what's really happening. Let me test it out. Let me observe it more deeply. Let's see what role it's actually playing. Let's see if what they're claiming is actually true. But this doesn't stop there. We're also looking at really the results, not projected results. I'm going to look at really what's happening, how it is affecting, how it actually relates to previous years with previous things that came about. Not what it's been brought. So this is the other part that comes in. We're starting to notice that, and we're starting to say, well, I want to look at the ones that are actually much more open-minded. Let me look at that group because they're doing research. They're doing research. They're not stopping. Not only research, they're using experience. They're having models of feedback. They're not just labeling it and saying, well, it's this. Have you noticed since that virus came around, nobody else is dying of anything else? There's no more flu, no more this, no more that. None of that exists because that thing took over. So in a way, that's pretty cool. It's narrowed it down to one thing. Interesting. So anyways, that's the nonsensical part on how things are playing out, but we're seeing more and more of it. The very people in positions of so-called authority believed to be instrumental in changing things are acting irresponsibility, seem unqualified to redirect things. We're starting to see that. Unqualified. I don't care if it's just an organization backing and rubbing each other and saying, hey, you know, this is the narrative we throw out today. This is the propaganda we throw out today. We're noticing that. The people that we believed were instrumental to save our lives, to save the community, to save humanity, the ones that are, you know, instrumental to put us back on track, the ones that are going to fix the systems or whatever it is, are being so irresponsible and showing that they are unqualified, meaning that they're showing that, hey, we don't know what we're doing, and we're going to show you this because we want you to put us out of the equation. That's from a superconscious level. Maybe not so much in a conscious level. A conscious level, they're so into the game that they can't see it. But I'll tell you one thing. They know what they're doing. They're not totally oblivious in any way, shape, or form. Why is all this happening? So that you can see it. So you can see it. And we take our power back, or we take the authoritativeness. I'm making words up. You take the authority away from it and say, hey, I'm going to become my own authority. I'm going to look at it. Like, for example, when you're open-minded, when you are, not only are you tapping in yourself, you're going to see different streams of input, especially if it's as obscured as possible, in a sense where it's blocked. Especially if it's blocked or banned or something of that nature, you go, that's making it interesting. I want to see what they're stopping. Because I want to see that viewpoint. I want to see what information they have to share. But you don't take that as gospel truth. You're going to take that in and see how that resonates, and you can plug in various things, and then you have a knowing of what is really happening and how you can utilize it in not only in your reality and all the levels of extended reality, including the collective. So all of this is playing out in such a powerful way, so that we get to see it. Whenever I do research, okay, like I tune in a lot. So, you know, and I have a team that I work with and so forth from other dimensions and so forth that are, you know, what you call alien friends or whatever it is. That's one. Got a team. I also have my soul team, which is, you know, made up of a lot of different souls combined. But I do also research in the human side of things because that kind of gives me an idea. So I'm open to hearing whatever's there, and I can see what resonates, what actually makes sense to me. And if it makes sense, then I'm going to explore it a little further and see if I could make it more crystal clear. And that's when I do research for my own personal experience, and if I'm going to share something. Now, most of the stuff I share is the souls communicating through me anyways, but at the same time, I do some research. Anyways, research. So, what is it all about? It's about putting us in the rightful position to direct the transformation we are going through while becoming more self-empowered. That's the basic outline. The whole thing wraps up into that. It's putting us back into position, our true position of creating our reality, of tuning into ourselves, and using that as a way to navigate, generate, and or in this case, redesign and transform the human experience and world. So it's putting us back into place, because what we did, we gave our capacities to others. Cool experience, even being disempowered, even being victim, cool experience, but does it serve? Is it going to still be in any way, shape, or form of any benefit? No. So that's what we're doing. So we're bringing ourselves back into a direct position for transformation we are going through while becoming more self-empowered. You know, self-empowered, what it's about. You have the capacities as the creator, as access to consciousness, to create your reality. So being empowered is really what we're doing, self-empowering ourselves again. We've gone through the disempowerment, now we're going back into the empowerment part, which many of us have been working on it for a while and becoming more and more empowered. Yeah, we may feel disempowered time to time temporarily, just a little taste of it. You get to dance with it. It's kind of colorful. It'll go one way or another. But we always bring ourselves back to the same spot, which is that empowered state. And that's it. That's where we get to play. I think I covered a lot. There was one thing I wanted to talk about, Kimberly. You were supposed to remind me, but I didn't tell you what it was, so I guess I'm going to have to. Yes, it is an update. Okay, so the last part of the update. As I said, you've noticed that the energies are coming in very rapidly. What's the word? Okay, back to back. I guess I will use that because I can't think of that word. Coming back to back. And yes, we are going through some very powerful months. Like I had said before, we have like a 5-month window, up to a 5-month window. And it started in November. Of course, it goes into December, January, February, and possibly maybe just up to the beginning of March, mid of March or the end of March. But basically, the full intent is by wrapping it up by the end of March, and then we get into April, which kind of opens up a whole nother sequence. As we're going along, we have another major shift that's going to happen. It starts on the 12th of December, and it ramps up, and the peak of it, which is where you're going to feel the most impact, is the 21st of December. And that will shift the polarity to a certain degree where we're clipping off. We've collectively decided that with our brother sister souls that are not in human form. A lot of them are, but they're not. And the ones that have gotten to a point, we're going to clip off so that that lower frequency I was showing before. Let's go back so I don't have to redraw it all over again. All right. This level here, this part down here, we're clipping it off so that we can't go as low. Now, there's a purpose for that. The purpose for that is so that every time we go into this, especially the lower range down here, it's so much harder to pull out of it. It's so heavy, so deep, that we get lost in it a lot easier, and it's a lot harder to come out of it, in a sense. Plus the fact that it does impact the progress whenever we're in these really low range. So we can still do whatever learning and stuff in a part of it, but we're clipping that part off. We've decided to clip that off. And that clipping off is basically so that we don't fall into that depth of unconsciousness, of lower frequency. It also stimulates this band of frequency so that we have more of a tendency to shift into there. Even though if it's a short visit and back down, you're able to get bursts of that. But we're all going to get a taste of this band that hasn't been there. And if you've already been there, you get a taste of that. And when I say a taste, you mean you get to experience it, but you still have the freedom to play at whatever range that we are, because there's still stuff that we want to experience in the lower range or whatever it is. So that's coming into play. There's also kind of a renewal, if you want to talk about it, in a sense. There's lots of activations that will happen to bring us more in line. So we'll also experience a shift physically on a physical level and the consciousness, and also the activation of more of the crystallized part of us. But we're also going to experience some upgrades. So the body goes through another level of upgrades, kind of a different stage of upgrade, and it's a different range of upgrade, so that it can actually be more stable rather than, having the same, that the energy is affected. So it's not going to be affected as much as the lower range of energy as it was before. We still have the option to do so, but it's not that easy, and it's not sticky where you get caught up in there. The same thing with the human entity. It actually loses some of its access to its lower states, the lower states that have been experienced. So it actually, you're almost clearing out some of your really, really low archival, I'm making that word up too, archival memories, and the energies associated with those memories and whatever that may experience. The other thing that's going to happen is also some of our accessibility of our past, where it became really super intensified and it created such a powerful impact for us, will reduce its intensity and its capacity, and even accessibility of it will be reduced. At that period of time, we will also experience the fact where we're going to go to another level where we can clear things a lot easier. And when I say clear, words drop certain attachments to past experiences, interactions, agreements, and a lot of the very polarized stuff that we've experienced, including definitions and labels of ourselves. So it kind of opens us up to be able to more access and integrate our more truer state of being. So that's coming into the 21st. Now, so basically it starts on the 12th, peaks on the 21st, and it'll go to the 12th. So this is January 2021. This is, of course, December 2020, and this is also December 2020. So it starts here, and that phase should be completed by here, and this is the peak. So this builds up, getting more and more. Now, at any point in time, you can experience already some shifts along the way. Here, it's going to be the most powerful, and it's going to lots of different energetic alignments, and there's a lot of other connections that are coming in. And some of our brother, sister souls that are connected through our DNAs are going to be participating with this also. And then it will not subside, but in a way become more fine-tuned. And after the 12th of January, we're going to, this will be a little less impactful, all of this stuff, and we're going into the next part of it. So from the 12th on, we're going to be in a different energetic state. We'll still have a lot of accentuated polarity to a certain degree, but the same, again, like I said, the depths of the lower bands of frequency, lower states of unconsciousness, and the lower states of being victim and polarized in the sense of, seeing things bad, it won't seem as bad. From that till, say, the latest, the end of March, we will go through a lot of other different phases, which I don't have all the details for that, and I'm not going to share it at this time. You'll get other updates as we go along. Right now, we're just dealing with what we are working with now. This is what this whole episode was about, and to also let you know about this. I have talked about it briefly in some of the other shows I've done, but at the same time, I wanted to bring that as an update. I think some other people have talked about it as a solstice. You will feel quite an impact around that time and moving forward. Is it going to be super uncomfortable? Can feel a little bit, but it can be also very uplifting because you won't feel the same heaviness. So if you were at a, let's give you an example here. So let's say 1 to 10, and 1 or even 0, but 0 is actually not as easy to access. But say 1 to 10, state of depression, for example. I'm just going to use 10 being like super max for you. You will notice that this will not be achievable any longer. It'll probably be at a 5 as your max. So 5 max, 5 max instead of the 10 max that you may have experienced. Just to give you an idea. This is kind of some of the things that you're going to experience. Now there's going to be people that are still going to play the polarized stuff and want to put a lot of focus on the polarized stuff, and they may do that. And that's okay. That's their thing. But again, you have to understand that they're also not going to be able to, everybody's going to experience it to some degree or another. Not many people are going to be super aware of it. They're going to notice something shifted, and even whatever the media is sharing with you, you're going to find that that will decrease to a certain degree, but at the same time, whatever's being shared will not feel as heavy hitting for you. Okay. Question? Go ahead. Yeah, no. Regarding, certain pests and garden bugs or whatever else that's appearing, not really, except the only difference you're going to notice is that they'll probably be less aggressive, and you will also notice that you will be less bothered by it. When it comes to, what was the first part you said, Kimberly? Oh, left brain. Yes. Okay. So will our left brain improve? Will we have improvements of memory and any body changes at this point in time? Yes, it depends on the degree. Now, a lot of times the memory that is affected for us at this point is because of the fact that we put a lot of focus on things that are not feeling most resonant with us. So, and also to keep us current, we tend to have a tendency to have memory wipes or limited access to memory so that we could stay the most current. Because of the focus is going to shift to a degree where it's not going to be so polarized, or a little less polarized, or a lot less polarized depending on how deep you're into it, that you will feel that the memory is working better. But you'll notice that even more improvement after March of 2021. But yes, you will feel further that a lot of the symptoms that you may have physically may alter by reducing. Some of your well-being will also improve, unless you have an agreement to stay in it a little longer, or you still have a lot of focus around that. But at least you will have, what's the word? More awareness around that, more awareness in that. As for the processing, you will process old memories. You will process a lot of whatever is taken over for you as a way, an understanding or anything of that nature. You'll be able to clear things a lot quicker. So it's a big boost at the same time. What I would suggest is what I've shared for you is not to prepare you for the 21st of December. It's really for you to utilize what's now, and then of course you'll be more prepared for this too, and you'll be able to utilize it more. But at the same time, it's really it's for us to go into a state of action right now in really adjusting your life, and it always starts with you. You are first and foremost, because you've probably heard it, if you're going to help other people, and I'm saying that that's what we're going to do, we're going to share, of course, but you need to be at a state. Now, we're all going to be work in progress, and we all are, including myself and so forth, but we have a certain level of clarity, and we share that clarity with others so that it resonates for them, and they stimulate their own knowing and go along. So I was going to say something. What did I just say? I just had a memory wipe. Yes. Okay, so we're all going through, yes, thank you. We're all going through our own processes along the way. So we're going to find that as we're going through all of this, through all these changes and so forth, that when we're getting into this time frame and then beyond, we'll become much more powerfully instrumental to make those changes more part of our life, but it's going to be more reflective to the different clusters or collectives that we are involved in, and so forth. Was there anything else with that question or any other question that I haven't addressed yet there, Kimberly? Mm-hmm. Yeah, any recommendation for this, what to focus on the 21st and into January? Of course, the thing is, connect with yourself as much as possible. Pay attention to where your focus is and shift away from the focuses where are playing in that lower realm, playing in this range down here or even in this range. So just the thing is, being an observer, being attentive to what's playing out and what is taking your attention, what's shifting your energy. Now, there's nothing that can shift your energy. You get exposed to something that activates an older state, an older energy of yourself, and then we can relate. So if you put a focus on something that you still have an active fear around, it will shift your energy. So pay attention to that. First of all, you want to address what that is, what the focus is coming up, what the story is coming up, or whatever it is. And of course, acknowledge it, appreciate it for everything it's provided, send it love, and you can just let it go, put it into the field. The field is all around you because everything is part of the field, including you are within the field and you are the field. So I would say pay attention to what takes your attention. Pay attention to any fears or anything else that comes up for you, and really connect with yourself. So spend quality time as much as possible to connect with yourself. You can use meditation for sure. You can use breathing as a method. You can use, depending on where you are, connecting with nature, meaning spending some quality time in nature, focusing with your surroundings of nature, paying attention to the energy nature is providing you. Those kind of things help. Connect and share, listen to information that is, I don't like to use the word uplifting, but most resonates for you, that most reminds you of things. Because if things resonate for you, it's reminding you of something that you know, that you're plugging into part of your reality. And so this is where you're going to put your attention on. And that will help you ride things more freely. Also pay attention to not only what you're observing, but what other people are saying and how it makes you feel. So it's not about running away from them. Oh, okay, I've noticed that is impacting me, so you want to look at why, and you want to clear that out too. But also noticing that, yeah, I'm choosing free not to give power to that. So if you got a fear around that, and say, yeah, I'm not choosing to play in the fear game anymore, and I see the opportunity, always looking at the opportunity. Okay, well, great, what can I do here? How can I play my role to be much more beneficial in the changes that are going on? Is there anything else you wanted to share around that I may have not shared that you do, Kimberly, that helps you navigate through all these little beautiful roller coaster rides that we go through? Be in the moment, yeah. Yeah. So put your focus, put your attention, do things that hold you in the highest vibration of yourself, expose yourself to things that actually remind you of who you are, remind you of what you're here to do, which we all know we've all come here to play. We've all come here to experience. We all have come here to be enlightened. We also have come here to experience this transformation. We've come here to transform and upgrade the human experience. We've come here to upgrade the world playground or the playground and so forth. And we're here because you wanted to be part of here. And you wanted to be part of the transition. You wanted to be part of the different stages of experiences and so forth. So as much as we have agreed to play and get lost in the game, but now you want to get back onto the driver's seat of the game where you now are the observer and you are the navigator. And the observer accesses more its navigational capacities as you observe, because when you're observing, you're not getting lost in it. Now, if you do get lost in it, yeah, have the experience, then step out of it and just observe. You can shift back and forth. So, yeah. Go and do things that you feel guided to do, connect with who you feel guided to do. So if you're noticing that they're lowering your vibration, then you want to look at it and say, do I need to still play with them? Do I still have programs that lower? Because the thing is, you can have the most negative person around. If you don't have a program that relates to it, if you don't have a resident energy that matches that, that's still active in one way or another, it doesn't bother you. You don't even notice it. And you're okay with them playing the game whatever they want to play. But at some point you find that the resonance is not there and you say, do I have to be there? Do I have to play here? No. And then you can pull yourself away from that. Now, of course, sometimes it's family, partnerships, kids, whatever it is. And you just hold your own space of your own self-awareness. And, you've done this yourself, Kimberly, but many, many people are doing where, the rest of the family does not relate to the state that you're in and the advancements you made. And even when you're in a partnership where you're with somebody that, is not moving forward and whatever it is, you have the freedom to say, okay, I'm going to play with them because I still feel like playing with them. At some point I may not want to, but you're going to still connect with yourself, and you're also going to connect with others that reflect where you're at. So like you have done, Kimberly, this is prior to us meeting, and you still do it today. You connect with different resources, you connect with yourself, you discover more of yourself, and regardless of where your family is, whoever you're engaging with, but then at the same time, because you're doing that, you're also making new connections, new friendships, new partnerships, whatever it is that supports where you're at. There's always going to be a variance. Not everybody's on the same page, but close to it, and they support each other along the way. So, see where you gravitate to people that actually are reflective to the state that you're going into. Anything else, Kimberly? Okay, then it's time to wrap it up. It's time to wrap it up. All right. Reminder again, and I'm going to click it out. Okay. We have a workshop, See Beyond Your Current Perception to Live a New Reality, coming up this December 5th and 6th. It's a 2-day workshop. It's fully integrated, fully live. You get involved with it. Of course, it's online because we don't do live, but it's online live, and you can be part of it. We connect the energies of everybody, and we get to do different processes. We expand your consciousness. We get to experiment. We get to do things along the way. So you can join us live, or if you can't be with us live, you can access the video and audio recordings, which will be available usually within a week after the event. What we normally do, we put the raw version of it available within several hours after it's done, because we do record it live anyways. I like to edit them and break them up in chunks so you can refer to them, but we'll have the full length, whatever that may be, for the 2 days. Separately, of course, 2 different recordings, day 1, day 2. We'll send you the links for that so you can watch it and get yourself some time into it. But then we'll send you the claim. Okay, the link is on the chat. Okay, so the Eventbrite link. It's donation based, so we do show what the regular price would be, but you can offer what you can and feel want to offer. Some people may be dealing with financial restrictions, so you can go offer whatever amount, small amount that you want. Others, maybe in different situations, can pay the full amount that is what the normal price, and there are other people that do pay more to compensate for others, whatever. It's whatever you feel. The content is worth tremendous amount, but we're not here to apply monetary to it, because we wanted to make sure that many people get access to it. We don't want to restrict anybody, because I've heard sometimes that people say, well, financially right now, because of everything that's going on, that we cannot afford to register and to think, and even though the amount that we charge for a 2-day event is like $185 live with the recordings for normally for a 2-day event, with all the processes and everything else, is really inexpensive compared to anything else that's out there, and it's usually tremendously much more powerful than most of the stuff that's out there. It still can be challenging for some people, so we put it into a donation base. You can offer what you can. Share it with as many people as possible at this point in time, and hopefully you can join us. And the other thing is, please share these videos, share the whole series with others. Share it with others. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, depending on what platform you're on. Follow if that's what you can do there. Click any notification bell. If you want to receive the newsletter, which basically lets you know different events coming up and gives you access to different things, just go. The link is in the description. Comment, do whatever you'd like to do. That keeps things moving, and we get to play. And if you feel that super resonance and all this free content that we're providing, and you would like to support us in our work, there's also a link there so that you can contribute just to support the work that we are doing. We're not charging you for it. We're just making it available, but your supports are really superly appreciated, so we can spend most of our time providing more content. And we do have this series, Advancing Consciousness series, and today's episode 55, but I think we've done about more than 55 episodes, because some of the episodes have up to 6 parts to it. And then we also have the Advancing Consciousness podcast that's also available. It's on YouTube, it's on Vimeo, it's on Facebook, and it's also on audio version of it on Spotify, on Apple, on Podbean, and so forth. And there are different links that get you to different places. So these are all free content. Again, if you can support us and so forth through your contribution, small as it may be, it does add up along the way. So that's it. Until then, go out and play, have a blast, and we'll see you. And by the way, the next episode is scheduled for Saturday, but right now I have some other things to take care of, so on Saturday we will not be doing another episode. So the next episode will be next Tuesday. It will be 1 week today instead of this coming Saturday. Normally we have it Tuesdays and Saturdays, but there's something I got to take care of this weekend, so in essence we're not having another episode then. But stay tuned. We're putting out almost every single day. We're trying to do every day, the different podcasts. So until then, go have a blast.